are these people?
I want to get to the next story because I want to talk about what's happening with the migrants and with the deportations, and it's been crazy. This story has been covered by Arturo Dominguez, Decolonized Journalism. We've been reading a lot of his stories lately because he's been all over what's been happening with CCOT and the Venezuelan migrants and sending Venezuelans to Guantanamo Bay. We're also going to bring a story from Andy Worthington. That's going to be next. But Arturo's talking here about 1,700 student visas have been revoked under Trump so far. He published that earlier this week, and I'm like, holy shit. So this was an update to the story, which came out Friday, and I was looking for further clarification from Arturo about this. So this is Kyle Cheney. I believe he works for the Washington Post. And he says that after canceling thousands of foreign students' immigration records, threatening their ability to study and live in the U.S., the Trump admin has reversed course and restored them all. Huh. How about that?
Okay.
Now it follows intense pushback from the courts across the country. So basically, they created a whole shitstorm. Okay. It got a whole lot of people upset. And then they just kind of backed off the whole thing after disrupting people and dislocating people and trying to deport people and stick some people in prisons. Now it's like, okay, we'll put the records back. So I'm like, okay, so what exactly happened here? So what Arturo says here is that this is why it's so important to report on the stories that legacy media hardly touches. These stories get buried because of bipartisan support for targeting foreign students for their pro-Palestine or anti-genocide speech. Many on one side of the political aisle might say students deserve due process, but they stop short of saying the student's speech isn't what they claim it is. Some refuse to admit that it's not anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorism, or anti-Jewish to demand an end to U.S. funding the bombing of innocent people, children. And that is the J Street liberals that he's talking about. Because Arturo is still hopeful that the Democrats will do the right thing, I think. I think he realizes that they're not going to, but he's still at least trying to push them to. I'm not. I'm done with that. So I specifically asked him, I said, wait, what? They restored all 1,700? And what he told me is that they restored the records that were deleted, which caused a lot of students originally to be left without an official status. But that doesn't mean that the official status that they're restored to is able to be in the United States and study again. Because remember, Rubio pulled all their visas. So I said, is their official status now about to be deported? He says, it wouldn't surprise me if that's how the admin is looking at it. And I said, it feels like gaslighting Bubba is making up the rules as they go along. And he said, that's exactly what they're doing. They think they know how things work, but they really don't have a clue. Or they're just trying to make people crazy. And I said, now that the records were restored, does that change the status that the students that they were looking at, or did it literally just restore the list after they altered it? So he says that it didn't change their status. Deleting their records made it look like they no longer had visas. The system that they were deleted from is what schools use to monitor the status of foreign students. Without the visa, they can't attend school, and universities were left with no way to confirm whether they still had status. But what he says here is that as many as 4,700 students were left in the dark, thinking they were suddenly in the country illegal. Some shady shit just to cause fear. All right. So that's the premise of what's happened afterwards. But what happened to them and what did he do to them in the first place is really fucked up. Again, decolonized journalism, independent journalists support independent journalism. This is a map from higher ed analysis or inside higher ed analysis. Students at over 250 colleges and universities have been affected by the Trump administration's effort to revoke student visas over dubious claims of anti-Semitism and as part of its immigration crackdown. Weaponizing speech is but one way the admin has been targeting non-white immigrants and visa holders. So again, looking at that map, it's mostly in the Northeast and on the West Coast, but you got a lot in the middle too. Texas, a lot of schools in Texas. According to Inside Higher Ed's International Student Visa Revocation Tracker, 1,709 students have had their visas revoked by the Department of State. Some estimates suggest that visa revocations are as high as 5,000. And this is likely because some institutions didn't provide a number for how many students were affected, with others reporting a few or a very low number because they don't want to tell you what the real number is. The justification by Marco Rubio's State Department, or actually it's, Norman Brayman and Israel's State Department, for many of the revocations has been for petty crimes, such as citations like traffic tickets. They're deporting people over traffic tickets.
Traffic tickets? Nice.
At Arizona State University, where more than 100 students have had their visas revoked, that number is likely to be much higher, according to a statement provided by United Campus Workers of Arizona President Michael Kincher to a local news outlet. He says, "We've been able to confirm a little over 100 students have had their visas revoked. Although we believe the number is much higher, it's just what we've been able to confirm so far." Kincher's comments highlight just how much of this is to track, or how difficult much of this is to track. Not only are accurate numbers hard to come by, but the admin is moving carelessly fast in trying to circumvent the legal system. This is what makes Trump's cabinet dangerous. Visa revocations largely stem from Homeland Security deleting the records of visa holders in this SEVIS system, which they've now restored. But still, their status is still going to be pending deportation. Deleting data from the database that allows universities and authorities to track information about international students on visas led to schools advising students that they have thus lost their immigration status and must immediately leave the country. While DHS admits that terminating records in the SEVIS system doesn't cancel an individual's non-immigrant status, it has tried to justify the deletions based on dubious claims of criminality. Right?
Nice.
Nonsense.
Yep.
Homeland Security contends that it deleted the SEVIS records of students based on communications received from the State Department in many court filings. Where? Since state is making the requests, it signals an intent to revoke the visas. All right. That they're deleting the records before the revocations, seemingly out of order, speaks to the sloppiness of the Trump admin and the dangers it poses to innocent immigrants and non-immigrants on student visas. I'll bet if you ask Baytar US for a list of those immigrants, they'll provide them. Because I think Baytar US
very easily.
And the Mossad probably has a copy of that list somewhere.
Fuck, they have it in triplicate. What do you mean?
Right? On Tuesday, a federal judge in Georgia ruled that the Trump admin had to reinstate the legal statuses of 133 international students, according to an order granting temporary restraining orders on behalf of those plaintiffs filed in U.S. District Court on April 18th. There's only one problem. They're ignoring the court orders. With ICE dumping more than 700,000 administrative warrants, that is, warrants not signed by a judge but by someone in a supervisory capacity at ICE, speaks to how these students could easily be swept up before courts could act. Many migrants were sent to El Salvador, Guantanamo, and are being held in detention facilities were imprisoned under similar circumstances, with no arrest, with no charges, like Gestapo-style tactics. Since so many agents from different federal agencies, and with ICE hardly knowing what documentation they're even looking for, or not caring about documentation proving citizenship or proving someone's allowed to be in the country, the admin is putting students at great risk, which is its full intent. and you can download their court filing there. Support, please, Arturo's work. He's doing excellent work over at Decolonized Journalism. And he's also over on Notes pretty often. He's accessible. And that's the kind of independent journalists we want to support. You know, again, I wish he wasn't really so hopeful about Democrats, but I understand that he's trying to fight the fascism of the Trump administration. And there's only one party in power right now that even has the chance to obstruct it. And they're doing nothing.
Yeah, they ain't doing shit.
They're doing nothing. They're having campouts. You
shouldn't even expect it.
They're literally fucking having campouts on the Capitol steps. And then they're being lauded for it.
They'll kneel in some Kunte cloth here soon. So
well, they don't. Well, I mean, they
should all be better.
It was Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker, so they don't need to do the Kente cloth thing. They already have that pander down. But
they'll send another dumb pop star into space. It'll be fine. You know,
unreal. Seb Applejack, welcome to the show. Out of order. You're out of order. Everybody's out of order. Popeye the Sailor. The whole country is out of order. Yep, that's right. These damn criminals. Sean Miller, good to see you, brother Mike.
You can't handle the truth.
The Accord Lord. There's a John Doe in chat. Okay, what's up, John Doe? I know I'm not being fair. They're fighting the oligarchy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, they really are.
No, we're heading towards an oligarchy. You got to get it right.
We're fighting the oligarchy,
it's not an oligarchy
by taking money from it and being a part of it. Yes, that's right. That's how we that's how we fight oligarchy. And we fight oligarchy with your help. See, Seb Applejack, he's one of the new people that's on that list, and we really appreciate him for it. Sean the Accord Lord, there should be a special spot on the list for the repeat donors, for sure, the repeat funders and tippers. But we love everyone that does. Kameshwari Kate, thank you, really. Margaret Villa and Charlie Mack and Sarah P. and the annual subscribers like Tyler Russell and L. Breland. Hey, Breland, I know that last name. Yes, Reese Mom is an annual subscriber to Indie Media Today. Thank you so much for that.
I can't tell you that.
We really appreciate everyone. Okay. Connie Nash, who shouted us out recently and was glad to rediscover us. Welcome back, Connie Nash. Just want to, again, shout out some of the people who over time have really stepped up and helped us support independent media because we need it more than ever. Cash App, $, Indie News Network, co-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and INNnewsletter.com. And again, IndieMediaToday.com. You see that in my name down there. All the clips from this show are at IndieMediaToday.com. The live stream alerts, and for tomorrow night's live stream alert, that'll go out at noon tomorrow. Also, any original articles I write, I usually publish over at Indie Media Today. So, by all means, support independent media, folks. We need it more than ever. I love you all.
Ciao, baby. Bye, Felicia.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
Can keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.